Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, right here on 92.9 KVRE, streaming online worldwide at kvre.com. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, a huge week in sports this week. I don't even know if there's enough time to fit it all into 1 hour for today's show. We're going to jump right on in. And we begin this week's show with the 2024 Texas League champion.
Oh, my goodness.
Arkansas Travelers. Tracy, it was like a scene from a movie. Tie game, bottom of the ninth inning, championship on the line. Outfielder Alberto Rodriguez hits a walk-off single, and the Travs claim their first title since 2008 and their seventh in team history. Travs MC and director of the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation, Lance Restum, joins us on the show today. Lance, good morning. Have you had a chance to get your voice back from all the celebrating on Wednesday?
It's slowly coming back, but thank you for having me on, guys. It's an honor to be with you guys this morning.
Lance, man, I was telling Mark earlier, it was such a, I don't know, just, and like he said, it was a scene right out of the movies because it was so, unbelievable about how we, got, into the game, up by several runs, and then all of a sudden they come from behind, and of course Mark was listening to radio. I'm live, and we're jumping up and down, and Mark, the picture was painted pretty well from just listening to it, wasn't it, Mark?
Yeah, so I wasn't able to be at Dickey Stevens Park, unfortunately, but I was able to listen to Steven on the radio, Lance, and I could visibly hear the tears coming down his face. There was so much emotion in that final call that Stephen Davis had. And listen, you've been with this team for a very long time. You were there the last time the Travs won the Texas League title. And you've also been with this team 3 times where they've fallen just short. What was the key ingredient that got this team across the finish line this time?
I think it was a lot of prayer. No, it was an amazing season. I think it's a combination of just a really good support from the Seattle Mariners. They've done a great job of providing us with outstanding players, outstanding resources. We've been with them. I think this is our 6th, 7th year to be with the Mariners, and it has just been an amazing partnership, and that had a lot to do with it. We also had some great coaching, some great players, and just the team itself. We had such a good group of guys this year. There was such a camaraderie in the clubhouse. There was such a good vibe on the field. I mean, to give you an anecdote, is after the game last night, obviously we're on the field, they've celebrated, they're all covered in champagne, and it's 11:30 at night. They wanted to go down on the field and throw the football around or go in the splash pad and play like friends. They were friends, and that was really, I think, a huge component of what made our team so successful this year was just that camaraderie among teammates. And that's really important because, it's one of the things I do with the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation is trying to teach kids at an early age that teamwork, that being on a team, winning and losing, really losing is more important, but also winning a championship and what that means and what that feels like. So it was great to get to experience that on Wednesday. Those guys, like you said, it was a fan energy that I have rarely felt. It's been decades since I've felt that amazing. And it was Wednesday and Tuesday night. It was electric. I know, Tracy, you were there, and I just had goosebumps. That last inning, there was not a single person in the stands in their seat. Everybody was standing up.
Yeah, and you could hear it on the radio broadcast as well, the electric atmosphere at Dickey Stevens Park. The Boo Birds were out if they didn't agree with the call, and you could just tell that electric energy there in North Little Rock that you see, not just in the postseason, you see it during the regular season. You see a city, a community, a state that comes from all across the natural state to come watch this team play. And it's exciting. And you mentioned your work with the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation. My kids had the opportunity to go to, I think, every single one of the camps that the Travs put on this year and meeting the guys. My 2 boys love Harry Ford. They love Harry, and they talk about him nonstop. But it's high character guys on and off the field, because these are guys that they're down at, whether it's in Hot Springs or maybe in Little Rock, and they're running these camps. But when their time is up, you often see them staying late and play pickup ball with local youth and talk to them and just listen to people. And this is, I mean, we're talking about still young men in their respective baseball careers, and just the amount of leadership that they show and the amount of love and pride they have for the community and the state that they represent. Yeah, absolutely. High character guys. You can see it on the field in their play, the way that they band together with team chemistry. This felt just such a great family win for not only the Travelers but for the entire state. And I'm so excited to see what these guys do next.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned Harry, because he's been such a great leader for the team, such an inspiration on the team, but such a great advocate for youth sports in the community. I think what you're talking about is we've done a couple clinics this year at Majestic Park out in Hot Springs, and a beautiful facility, probably the premier outdoor youth facility in the state, in my opinion, and I go to a lot of them. But they do a great job there, and Derek is amazing with that facility. And we host clinics there, and you're right. After it was over, Harry and Josh Morgan and a handful of other players, they stayed to just play. Just play because they're kids. Boys, they're men because they're, 23, 24, but they're still boys, love baseball and they love people. And Harry was a huge inspiration. He's a Christian, he's a believer, and he is not afraid to show his faith. In fact, his walk-up songs are always some kind of faith-based song, some Christian hill song or whatever. They change all the time, but it's a great way for him to evangelize through his character and through his performance on the field, and that inspires all the guys. It's amazing, these young men and how they do form a bond and they form a camaraderie. In fact, we have a lot of players that are not from America. That's a trend that, frankly, I'm trying to overcome with the Youth Foundation, but it is a common trend in professional baseball right now, and there's a language barrier. So we're going to have 6, 7, 8 guys on our team that English is not their first language, and so a lot of times in the past those guys have been isolated. They eat by themselves, they pee by themselves, they do their own little thing. Well, this year I was amazed to see players from our side reach out to the bilingual players and fun, entertaining ways, and make sure that they felt included in all of the performances. One of the fun things is we used to do we did dad jokes, right? And dad jokes, being a dad, are, corny. But when there's a language translation, they're actually really, really helpful in, breaking down that language barrier, because it's dumb dad jokes are the same in any language.
It's universal.
And,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So we've been able to talk with those guys and, tell fun stories. And it's funny, one of our, Victor Labrada, he's one of the ones I'm thinking, he'll learn a joke and then he'll run around the dugout telling everyone the dad joke until he forgets. But it's a great team. And because of that, they were able to pull together something really, truly inspirational and something that is historic for Arkansas. Thank you, by the way, Mark, for the amazing intro with the stats. You totally said everything. I was like, oh, he said it all. It's great.
Hey, Lance, you're such an inspiration. I'm going to put it on the table right now. You're such an inspiration. You keep talking about the players and such like this, but you've been around, and we've been together for quite some years, and I've seen you grow not only as a person, but also as a fellowship in your own self, from being single to married to kids. And I've seen you change that status too, though, man. I'll be honest with you, and how you've grown and developed, and how you've matured into being what everybody, is looking for, and a lot of folks around here. So I'm going to tip my hat on you too, because it takes a lot to forget about yourself and to put yourself behind the scenes to have these kids up in front. And so I'm going to congratulate you on that too, buddy. But wasn't it good last night to see? Well, I mean, it's just a simple fact. We were talking Travelers baseball, but then you're also talking to youth, to everybody about that, and also even my son, you were talking to him about, and man, he was impressed. You know what I mean? So you made an impact on him, even. So unbelievable. Well, I'm tipping my hat.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you saying that, brother. And it's been an amazing journey, and obviously, it's been a spiritual one through faith, but sports has really been the catalyst for what I think has been a lot of community outreach that we've been able to do. Through sports and through the Youth Foundation, I'm able to identify needs in the community and really go to fundamental needs. truth be told, it's always money. Like you strip away all the layers, it's always money that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But solve problems and help kids. And unfortunately, something that you guys have picked up on before, and I know we've had conversations, is how the face of professional sports has changed. And I can speak specifically to baseball with stats like, 6% minority participation in professional sports, or, 2022, that World Series, which, the Astros pulled that one out. Those Stros. That was
Mark shaking his head on that one. Mark shaking his head.
It's like, the line's been disconnected. What happened? We lost
Yeah.
Lance. I don't know.
Did we just lose Lance? I thought we just lost Lance.
Well, that World Series, although it was historic for other reasons, was also historic because it was the first World Series in 1955 where neither team had an American-born African-American player on it. And that statistic right there is shocking. And when I was growing up, the Ken Griffey and Bo Jacksons of the world, they are few and far between in professional baseball. In fact, the most catastrophic stat that I can give is, we started this season, we had 9 pitchers that we kind of got as our beginning pitching staff. And one of the benefits is the Mariners, they send them in, we'll have a day or two, we call it media days. We basically just feed them barbecue and get to know the new players. And it's a great opportunity to meet these young guys and kind of figure out where their lives are at. And I always the pitchers table because usually the pitchers are interesting and there's a wide diversity. Well, out of the 9 at the table, 4 of them were not Americans. They were not from America. The 5 that were from America, 2 of them did not play high school baseball. Now think about that for a second. Think about getting drafted, going through an MLB draft, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in signing bonus, right? And not playing high school baseball? How is that even possible? What kind of system are we creating? And you guys know, y'all deal with high school sports on an intimate level. If we lose those programs, if our high school programs start to become, I'm sorry I got away with it, but the answer was, the reason is because of travel ball and tournament ball. And kids now, instead of playing high school baseball, they can pay to play on high competitive teams, and it gives them an advantage for getting into college or getting drafted by the major league. And though that's great for those kids that can afford it, there is a ton of kids in our community, and there's a lot of families in Little Rock, in Hot Spring, and all these surrounding communities that are low-income families or multi-child families or single-parent families that they just can't afford $2,000-$3,000 a year for their kids' hobby. That's not a realistic thing. And so what's happening is we're creating a class of youth that is addicted to screen time, has childhood obesity, has childhood diabetes, has decay, has all this crazy problems that, we didn't have. There's new problems for kids. And I think one of the ways we can solve that is in sports and getting them outside. That's proven. It's proven to be able to get people outside, to have them participate, is going to improve their health, improve their socialization, teach kids how to learn, teach kids how to lose, and make sure that they're able to play ball. And so that's a big impact that we have at the baseball level, but it's a problem when I see professional baseball players, guys who are drafted by the Mariners. I mean, these are, in every way, shape, or form, guys that are in the dream, and their pathway is a pathway that's not accessible for people in our, and that's frustrating, and that is what we got to change, and that's ultimately what the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation does fundamentally, is try and break that system. But the Traveler and the Mariner have been amazing to support that. In fact, I know you guys follow sports closely, and I'm sure you heard about the shakeup in the Mariners staff a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And the head skipper, longtime skipper, was released, and the gentleman that they promoted in his position was Dan Wilson. Well, Dan Wilson, who's now the head skipper for the Seattle Mariners, has been my direct boss for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
He's the guy that I have to report to, community relations. I mean, Dan and I were eating lunch at Old Bart just a few months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is now the head guy for them, which is incredibly inspirational for the youth, and it's going to be a huge impact for the youth here in Arkansas because they're already making commitments. They're already doing things to provide us resources and players, equipment, and things like that, and I'm only expecting to jump. So the opportunities and the future are looking great with the players, and because of the Mariners organization, because of their leadership, has won us a Texas League championship for the first time in years, and it's been able to pour into the community and create community-based programs. They're actually changing kids' lives. And, I mean, there's nothing better, man. You know, I'll tell you, it's fun to win a championship, but giving a scholarship check to someone to stay in school or providing resources for a kid to be able to get outside and play ball where they normally not, that's
You know, I saw last night, and you and I, obviously, you're there a lot more than I am, but I saw last night, and I'll concur with you on this, the home field advantage, but the universal language right there was, and I saw different aspects of different family life and background, and a lot of kids there, no doubt about that, even on a school night like you and I talked about, but still, the universal language right there was everybody came together as a whole, and I think when it came down to that ninth inning, that home field advantage was just that, an advantage. Yep. How big was that? Even if you didn't speak English, even if you don't speak Spanish, everybody knew how important it was when the bottom of the ninth came up. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, I was talking with my boss, our president, Rusty Meeks, last night. We were in the beer garden sitting around, and, you know, we're all enjoying the championship, if you will. And I told him, I said, you know, I don't think we win Tuesday or win if we had such a good turnout from the fans and we hadn't had such an overwhelming home field advantage. And he agreed. He was like, yeah, I agree with that, because the truth is that fans are the lifeblood of what makes the entire prospect work. You know, we want community things in our neighborhoods. We want to be able to have events that we can take our families to and socialize with our friends and get our youth groups and our fellowship groups to come. That's what we want. But if we don't take advantage of it, those things don't exist. And I have been inspired by the people of Arkansas because they love the Travelers, they love baseball, and they love to come out and support it. You know, last night was a red out. Well, obviously, because you guys came ready.
We were ready. No pun intended.
And it wasn't, it didn't matter if it was Razorback red or Travelers red or just some red shirt you had. You're right. They went and they cheered on, and we won because of Arkansas. And so, truthfully, I think the Texas League Championship 2024, it deserves, it goes as much to the fans who have been just outstanding this year to show up and show out and bring energy every game. I mean, we've had a ton of walk-off wins this year. We've had a ton of players get called up. You know, this is one of our, I think it was 6. I have to double check with Davis, our broadcaster, on that. But I think it was good. 6 guys called up. That's amazing. I mean, that's phenomenal. And that's one of the great things about being a professional sporting team in Arkansas is we, you know, have that fun pathway and access. So at the end of the day, it was an amazing season and 100% credit to the fans, because that's really what makes it. And to your point, they make it fun and they make us win, you know, because of them. It was great. It was great.
Lance Restum of the Arkansas Travelers enjoying that 2024 Texas League Championship. Boy, the greatest show on turf at Dickey-Stephens Park, a night that Travelers fans and the state of Arkansas will always remember. Lance, thank you so much for joining us on this week's show. Got one last question for you before we let you go. Looking at the big picture, how important was this win for the Travelers? Not only to win the Texas League Championship, but to do it this season. This season, where the team was sold to a new owner, Diamond Baseball Holdings, in a season where rumors and speculation and maybe even doubt began to swirl about the future of this team and whether or not it might even remain in Arkansas in the future.
It was, to say the least, the cherry on top, if you will. It was the chef's kiss on and we were blessed for several decades to have President Russ leadership, and he was an amazing believer and, you know, husband, dad, grandfather, and president of the Travelers. That literally is the reason that baseball continued here in the state for the time it did, and it was special that as he passed the baton and we were able to, our private ownership changed over to the Diamond Baseball Holdings ownership, that he was able to be here for that and that he could experience that. Because trust me, Russ and Brenda, they don't miss games, and they sit right behind home, and they cheer as much as any fan in that entire ballpark, if not more, and they're just as disappointed, if not more disappointed, when we don't win championships. And as we pointed out earlier, there's been several years where we didn't. So it was really special to be able to win it this year for the Meeks family and kind of do that for them, because it was amazing. But also to show our new ownership and our new leadership the value in the team, being able to rally the wagon, send out the signal flare. Thanks a lot to you, Tracy, and you guys at the Village. But getting the word out that, hey, it's a championship game. We need to pack the house. We need to take advantage of home field advantage, and we need to win this game. And it happened. Every night, the people of Arkansas showed up, and we had our biggest crowds, for the playoff games to cheer it on. So it was special to do that, to show the new company, the value of what they've purchased. The Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation. In fact, here's a Jeopardy question. If you're ever on Jeopardy and someone asks you, what is the oldest professional sporting team in baseball history still playing under their original name, the answer is
Arkansas Travelers.
No, it's actually the second.
Actually, the second one. I know.
We're number two.
You got me on that one before. Yeah.
We're behind the Buffalo Bisons in New York by just a few months.
Yeah.
But it's a huge, 120 plus year history in Arkansas of baseball, and that's what DBH purchased. So their commitment, as far as they've been able to communicate to us and me, is to keep that going and keep the history and the legacy of baseball here in Arkansas as long as it can. So I to answer your question, I think it was amazing. It was hugely impactful, and ultimately kind of the creme de la creme. It was the final kiss note on an amazing, so it was great.
Lance Restum of the Arkansas Travelers, thank you so much for joining us, Lance. Hope the celebration continues well into the off season for you, the staff, the upper management, and the players, everybody involved. It takes a village to run Arkansas Travelers baseball. I know that, and what a great family, what a great win for this organization.
Well, thank you guys. It's an honor being on with you this morning, and thank you guys for being sports fans and supporters of sports here in the state.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon, man, and keep the faith. We'll talk to you soon. Love you, man.
Bye, guys.
Man, oh, man. What a guy.
Great content there as well, Tracy. Great job by Lance there. We've got so much more to come on our show this week. Don't go anywhere. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition returns in a moment on 92.9 KVRE.
Second quarter coming up.
And we're back. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition here on KVRE. The second quarter of this week's show deals with college football. There's a big game going on down in Arlington, Texas. Jerry's World, the home of the Dallas Cowboys, will host the Arkansas Razorbacks taking on the number 24 Texas A&M Aggies. Tracy, typically this is a matchup and a location that has not fared very well for the Hogs. Historically, the Razorbacks lead the all-time Southwest Classic Series 42-35-3, but the Aggies have won 11 of the last 12. But this is a 2024 Arkansas Razorbacks team that is 3-1, 8 points away from being undefeated, and presumably nationally ranked, and a team that just beat Auburn in Auburn's house. How do you feel about this matchup, given the state of the union for the Hogs going in?
I'll be honest with you, Mark. I think that we got a favorable position right now to go in and win what is going to be the last game ever, I'd say for now.
Yes.
Because it's not going to be what they call, quote unquote, neutral site, if you want to call it that, even though we've got 6 players on the Razorbacks team that are from the Dallas area, the market there.
Yes.
And so it's more of a homecoming for them, so to speak, including our quarterback Green. But here's the potential and I don't know if it's going to really an upset because A&M, once again, let's go back to the polls. You know me, the AP, for what it's worth, is one thing or another. I don't know if Texas A&M should be in the top 25. I'll be honest with you. Being a 5.5 point favorite, I don't see that. I'll be honest with you. I think they're pretty evenly matched because you don't ever know what they're bringing to the game. But we've seen 3 different Arkansas teams. I did a little bit of backlogging and watched some film on A&M. I've seen 3 different A&M teams. Once their offense shows up, then their defense shows up. Neither one of them have had what I call a complete game to where they're both the offense and the defense are churning. I'll be honest. Well, and we don't count the UAPB game. I'm sorry.
I mean, you really don't. You don't. You see, okay, hey, the Hogs scored on every drive.
Right.
That looks good. Defense looked okay. They kept them scoreless. That's about all you can take away from that game, honestly. But just like Auburn, A&M has had some quarterback woes at the beginning of the season. Marcel Reed calls the shots from under center, and the Aggies are only 116th nationally in passing output, a number that's sort of made up by being 8th in FBS play in rushing. The Aggies average 256 yards a game on the ground. Sounds pretty good. But Arkansas is 14th nationally in rush defense, allowing just shy of 83 yards per passing or per game, excuse me. Tracy, I probably sound like a broken record here, but the key to winning this game is going to come down to tackling. Arkansas will not only have to tackle to stop big run plays, but they're also going to need to get in the backfield quickly and get those tackles for loss. That's the key to victory in this matchup. A&M runs the ball well, but I don't think they've run up, pun intended, against a team like Arkansas, who's so good at stifling the run early this year.
Mark, well, here's the deal, though, also, okay? I'm going to chime in on this a little bit being negative, I'll be honest with you, but stats right now, this early in the season, really, you can't put a whole lot of emphasis on them because, for one thing, the preseason games, I'll call them preseason, non-conference games, are teams, or some of them are cupcakes. They're actually they're getting paid to come play.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the deal. So if you look on the reverse now, you've got a defense that's doing this against an offense that's absolutely horrible, exception of Oklahoma State. Auburn, look at the ranking on their offense, okay?
Yeah, it's not great.
But then you look for the big pass play that they have, and then they had another one also where he fumbled. If it hadn't been for the fumble on his own, where would this game gone? I know 4 turnovers is 4 turnovers, but shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But you got to reverse that now from what I was telling you. Yeah, we're ranked great, but we're ranked against what kind of offenses did we play? So those rankings, those stats, how do you pull those together? The only one I'd really take in as any kind of stat would be Oklahoma State, which we held them to it a little bit up until the very end. I mean, everybody saw the game, overtime, blah, blah, blah. But so stats, I don't know. I saw a lot of missed tackles. I saw a lot of breakdown in the secondary, as we well know, with that a long pass play. And then I saw a lot of, 2 of those interceptions were tipped balls right in the guy's hands. That wasn't the quarterback's fault. And of course, now everybody's talking so highly about our the one D-back that did good. Well, he did. He caught, deflections. The tip drill, we learned that when we were in Pee Wee, the tip drill, junior high. And it was great. But that was on the receivers. The ball was actually in their hands. So what I'm saying now, I don't put a lot of emphasis on stats right now. When you get into about 6, maybe 5 or 6 games, you get some conference play under you, which the SEC is pretty good caliber because we've got 6 out of 10 in the top 10. Then you start taking those stats as an emphasis. But right now, I just don't take a lot of stock in that right now. I think that it's all going to boil down, and I'll agree with you on this, tackling. And also, I'm going to be honest with you, it's come down to a field goal several times with A&M. Our field goal kicker.
It's typically a close game.
Did you see what our field? Oh. He's 50-50 on kicking field goals.
Yeah.
Is that's not good, Mark? I'm sorry.
It's not good enough, but on the other side, fair assessment about your look at stats at this point, you play who's on your schedule. Right. You play who's on your schedule, you perform against who's on your schedule, and that performance could raise questions. It wasn't a solid win over UAB. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a completely solid win over Auburn. They're wins at the end of the day. And they're room for learning and growth, and let's get better, and let's shore up some things.
Right.
But this is a matchup that really kind of feels like a coin flip on paper. It's traditionally close. I know that Vegas, I think, has 5.5 point,
and that's dropping.
It
started at 6.5. It's dropping.
They're doing their research too. Historically, they know that this really could come down to anything. Could come down to field goals. Could come down to that one turnover on defense. So I'm looking forward to an exciting game. Kickoff at 2:30, the Razorbacks and the Aggies of Texas A&M. I think it should be a really good one, but I think a win here for Arkansas, puts them at 2-0 in SEC play. I think really builds some confidence going forth because there are some very tough games ahead. Let's face it, including next week. Tennessee is ranked in the top 5. This will be a game in Fayetteville. You need this win over A&M to really build that momentum going into the matchup with the Volunteers.
Now, how loud are they going to be playing Rocky Top up? To be honest with you, will it echo through the Ozark Mountains? I don't think. I think that if we come out with a W with A&M and a decisive W, I think they're going to have a whole new outlook on their season. And I think we'll go into that being ranked, of course. And so I think they'll have just a positive feel. And then once again, we just talked to Lance about home field advantage. The fans. And when the fans come out, I got news for you guys. This season, everybody's still high on the Hogs. When we saw those, we haven't seen those in quite some time. And I think that that's going to make a difference. But let's get one game at a time. I say we go down to Arlington, get the W, and come back home and get ready. But what Razorback team is going to show up and what A&M team is going to show up, that's why we watch the game. And that's why those coaches get paid big bucks, Mark.
Some other big matchups happening around the top 25 this week. This is the week. Georgia at Alabama, number 2 at number 4. Georgia wants that number 1 spot back. Tracy, I believe the Bulldogs will get it if they win this game.
Yeah.
I said if, not when. Yeah. Alabama, tough place to play. I know it's not the Nick Saban era anymore, but who do you have coming out on top, the Crimson Tide or the Bulldogs?
Straight up play. I think they go into Tuscaloosa, give them a good shot at it, but I don't think they come out with the W. I see Alabama as the most complete team right now. I think they've been underestimated. And the deal about that is we've seen a Kirby Smart that knows how to coach against the Saban now, so to speak. Even though this particular coach has been in their system a while, it's a different system. He's doing things a little bit different. And we've seen an Alabama team that's pretty decisive. I see a mix-up. I see Alabama. I'm not going with what Vegas says. I'm going with Alabama because it's in Tuscaloosa.
I'm going with Alabama as well. Yeah, and you could have asked me that question 2 weeks ago. Absolutely. Another matchup that I'm looking at that isn't as flashy, not a huge high marquee matchup, but I think it will be a bigger more important showdown for the season ahead. Number 19, Illinois at number 9, Penn State.
Big.
In the Big Ten.
Big.
The Big Ten is always on the outside looking in. They're always the stepbrother, if you will, because SEC seems like it dominates college football right now. But don't sleep on the Big Ten. You got a couple of big dogs right now vying for a high position. I believe they'll go 4-0. The winner will be 4-0 this season. So look for the winner of this one to break into the top 10, I believe, and make some noise potentially for the rankings going forward.
Well, we know that coach at Illinois all too well. And the thing about it is Penn State, everybody's got a question mark by Penn State right now. I'll be honest with you. Should they be in the top 10? And that's the whole deal. I think this is going to be, of course, this is always a ground and pound with Illinois. They're going to get in there. They're going to find out what they can do in the trenches. And I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think so as well. Much more to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. We'll talk some NFL when we return right here on 92.9 KVRE.
Third quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE. For the third quarter of this week's show, Tracy, it's time to talk the National Football League. Week 3 in the books, and 5 teams are still standing, all undefeated. The Buffalo Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Seattle Seahawks. Tracy, out of those 5, who do you feel like is currently the best team in the NFL?
Right now, as we speak, Buffalo Bills. I'll be honest with you. From what I've seen on offense and defense, and you've heard me talk about complete teams, that's the one I'm seeing as complete. You're seeing a defense that's really stepped up and complementing the offense, which you have to have. Because if you go 3 and out, you got to know that, look, my defense is going to get, Josh is going to say, hey, look, they're going to get me the ball back. Let's look and see what we did wrong last time and what we did right. And I think right now, with the way their defense is playing, I think it's going to be the ultimate to give Josh a break, so to speak, because it seems like he was always playing coming from behind or even matching, touchdown for touchdown. We saw what they did the other night, just dismantled a team. And and that was a pretty good team. I'll be honest with you, I thought. But and then I'll just break it down real quick. Kansas City is going to be Kansas City.
Yes.
Okay, and they're never going to. They seldom ever blow anybody out. It's just that simple. They play within their means, and they do what they have to do to get the W. And Mahomes knows that. He knows just how good they are. It's almost like the kid that's on the block that's just that much better, and he gets bored. I'll be honest with you.
They try to make things interesting.
They do.
The games,
They do.
The games have been kind of ugly. Like we sat and we watched Chiefs and Falcons, and my boys, even though that they were cheering for Kansas City, and we're just gonna go to bed,
Right.
because it was it was back and forth. It was a close game, but Kansas City is still at 3-0. Travis Kelce doesn't have a receiving touchdown, for example. Like, it's a team that feels like it still hasn't really put it together yet, but you know that it can. You know that all the pieces are there and the weapons are there. So you know that when this team gets out, and we saw it last year. We saw the same thing last year, kind of a weird, rocky, slow start. This time they're undefeated, but when the team does get that identity put together, you know what you're going to get. You know that this is a dangerous team, and absolutely, they've won 2 in a row. You know that this is the team to beat if you want to win the Super Bowl this year.
Is Rice his new guy since Kelsey's just not maybe?
He's incredible. I love watching Rice out there, the way that he can move. He's slippery. He can slide through formations. He can change things up. He's faster than the defensive backs, at least in the Atlanta game he was.
Yeah.
I really, really like, I don't want to say second coming of Tyreek Hill, but he's really, really good. He's really flexible, and a lot of great chemistry with Patrick Mahomes so far.
But Mark, here's one of he's got the yak. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
And his size, though, you can talk about Tyree all you want, but his size makes the difference. He breaks tackles. He gets out of positions with his speed and his strength, not just his speed. I've seen him break tackle after tackle after tackle. And also he's fast, but his best part? He's quick. And I mean real quick.
Yes.
And I love those short little hitches, 5 and 6 yards, where he usually is going to Kelce. He's not doing that now.
Mm-hmm. Hey, he's got multiple weapons to spread to. And listen, defensive backs are going to start laying off of Kelce because the production's not there. That's going to open the window for those passes to start hitting number 87. The Chiefs are going to have that traditional offense come back, but right now it's not broken. It bends a little bit, but right now there's not a whole lot that necessarily needs to be fixed. Here's another team, Tracy. I respect your call on the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are going to run away with their division, surprisingly in my eyes, due to maybe some injuries across the way. But in my opinion, the best team in football right now is the Minnesota Vikings.
I just knew you were going to say that.
And that's hard to say coming from a Bears fan.
With your Bears. But how is that with... I'm not going to say, okay, he's a good veteran quarterback. Okay, he's got a resurgent of a.
Nobody expected this team to be here.
No, Darnold? Are you kidding me?
Coming into this season, who's going to win the NFC North? You probably hear Detroit Lions, maybe even the Chicago Bears on some hype and some cope out there. But Minnesota, no. Kirk Cousins, gone. You still have some really great receivers, but Sam Darnold coming in. He's making an early case for MVP. I know it's just 3 games. But if it's a season of 3 games, he's making a case for MVP right now. Not only is this team undefeated, but those 2 of those wins are against projected division winners, San Francisco and Houston. This defense has allowed only 30 points through 3 games. That's second in the NFL, only to the Steelers, who's also undefeated. But this is a team that's not even 100% healthy right now. They have major injuries at wide receiver and really on both sides of the ball. Outside of maybe the Lions coming up on October 20th, I don't even see a game on Minnesota's schedule, Tracy, for months, that even looks like a challenge to this team right now. They have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL going forward right now. This may very well be the last team standing in terms of who's undefeated, the last team undefeated coming up this year.
Mark, okay, okay, you're in the big booth up there. You're one of the owners. You're one of the franchise guys. Let me ask you this. Your rookie quarterback gets healthy. He comes back. Does he start?
You don't change anything right now. You don't change a thing right now. You've beaten San Francisco. You've beaten Houston. Like I said, these 2 teams were projected to win divisions, and they probably still will, even though they're off to a weird start right now. If it's not broke, you don't fix it right now. I fully believe that, especially with the schedule ahead. Now, here's the deal. I talk about, the schedule looks really, really good. They might not drop a game, maybe when they face the Lions on the 20th. I think that's the first big challenge for them. But let's say that they do stumble and they do fall against lesser competition, because it is absolutely lesser competition when you look at the makeup of the team and the record of those current squads. Then do you make a change? Possibly. Yeah. But until you do, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, well, and I'll agree with you on a certain part. San Francisco is a surprise, and that's when I know you're going to ask me a question. Who's my surprise team that's losing everything? Well, Dallas is the biggest. I already know your question.
Shame on you, Tracy.
I already know your question.
Done your research.
But San Francisco, you got to admit, five players, four of them, which are MVP caliber players, are out for San Francisco right now. Okay,
absolutely.
So I'm not even going to bring them up. We know that we know who's hurt, and in my books, the MVP, and they've got a good quarterback over there at the Ravens. Don't get me wrong, but in my mind, the running back who we all know and we talk about, San Francisco, I think he's the MVP. But anyway, so we won't talk about that. But Minnesota's got a chance. We talked last week about the veteran quarterback play. I mean, go down to the southeast part of the United States and a league that's just a division that's horrible, and the resurgence of another quarterback.
Are you talking about Andy Dalton by chance?
And Dallas got rid of him? Why?
Well, here's the deal. I actually have this matchup as my matchup to watch. And people are probably literally turning off the radio right now because it's the 0-3 Bengals and the 1-2 Carolina Panthers. What? That's the matchup to watch in week 4? Are you crazy? Maybe. But here's the deal. It may be weird, but listen, your season may be in jeopardy at week 4. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, Carolina wasn't expected to do anything. But Joe Burrow and the Bengals literally could be out of it if they fall to 0-4 to start this season. Andy Dalton under center in Carolina coming off of a big win. Hey, all the power in the world to Bryce Young, but this was the change that needed to happen. Look how this team excelled when they made that. Andy Dalton was never, ever really that guy, that MVP caliber. This is my franchise. He was never really that guy. But right now, he looks like the savior for an organization that needs a lot of help. And listen, let's. I don't know how this game's going to go. I do think Carolina is going to win this game, and if they do, the Panthers will be 2-2 in what's arguably the worst division in football, the NFC South. But could a win here, even though it puts them at 500, 2-2, possibly make Carolina a contender within that division?
Well, Tampa Bay coming off a big loss,
coming back down to earth. I think honestly,
well, they finally had to. Well, not only a loss, but you're talking Denver. Okay,
who had not won a game yet.
Okay, Bo
undefeated,
Nix,
lost to a winless team.
Exactly. So the target was put on their back after having 2 great games in the front and everything. Blah blah blah. But like we said last year, let's go back. Last year, playoff time, their division. Nobody was above 500, if you recall. Nobody.
They're beating each other up.
Nobody in that. I mean, nobody above 500. So, yes, if they could honestly be in competition with the rest of them and be right there and still be at 500, because that's the way that division runs.
Yeah.
So, I love your game of the week. Joe Burrow. Now, I'm going to refresh on something. If you recall, every year that Joe Burrow's been in the they've never gone 0-3. But they've gone 0-2 a lot. So concerns in Cincinnati, yes. Bengals organization is going, what are we doing wrong? Well, we'll go into that at a later date. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of worries going on at the Bengals.
And I'll tell you right now, one more thing real quick before we hit the break. Atlanta and New Orleans also face off this week when we talk about the NFC South. So, the Saints were handed their first loss of the season. And Atlanta, even though they lost to Kansas City, I'll be honest with you, I think Atlanta has some playmakers. I watched that game start to finish. You
know me, I'm their quarterback's biggest fan.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care whether he was at the Commanders or
wherever he plays.
Minnesota. He is one. I'm telling you, that comeback he had the other day, I'm still on him.
Much more to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. We've got the local roundup when we return on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter coming up.
And we're back on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition right here on 92.9 KVRE. Our final segment of this week's show, we like to call it the Local Roundup. Tracy, the Boys and Girls Club of Saline County and Cedar Mountain is hosting flag football signups this fall for youngsters between kindergarten and second grade, boys and girls. That deadline has been extended to October 8th. Registration is $70 per player, and evaluations are going to be held at the Jessieville baseball fields on October 8th at 5:30. If you have any questions or if you'd like to register your athlete, you can stop by the Boys and Girls Club in the village or call Garrett Jones at 501-984-6996. I say this because I know a little River Oliver is going to be participating in this league this fall. There was not enough participation in his typical flag football league over in Mountain Pine, and I'm very excited that the Boys and Girls Club stepped up to offer this for the many student athletes that wanted to continue playing the sport. Of course, Majestic Park also offering flag football this year as well, but signups, as you can imagine, went through the roof, and that league filled up quickly. So for the Boys and Girls Club over here at Cedar Mountain, having the opportunity has been a huge relief, I know, in my household, and maybe it will be for other households listening as well.
I think it's huge, Mark. This is great. I love the the endeavor that they put out there for these kids to be able to join in, boys and girls of all kind. This is getting such to be a popular. I mean, flag football's been around a while, but flag football's really become a popular sport. You're looking at Florida, you're looking at Georgia, you're looking at Pennsylvania. They're doing it as a varsity sport now.
Oh, yes.
So this is huge. It's just a matter of time, and I applaud the Saline County and the Paul Bowie Boys and Girls Club. Did I say Paul Bowie? I did say Paul.
You sure did. You sure did.
Well, because here's the deal.
Well, listen, it's had many names over the years.
Well, here's the deal, though. They had it back in the day, and they've always had some good flag football out there.
Yeah.
So now to continue the spirit at Cedar Mountain, I think it's so important. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait to come see him because I know he's a little terror. And I can't wait to come watch him play.
Whenever he brought that flyer home from school, I'm telling you, Tracy, because his flag football league was not able to field enough participants to continue this fall, and it was like taking away the presents on Christmas. Okay, this is a kid that's all he does. He practices football. He literally sits in the living room at our house watching NFL clips and pretends to like dive into our ottoman and just like recreates football plays. This is a kid that's going to be doing great things when he gets older on the gridiron. So to not have that option, to be told, man, I really wanted to get you in, buddy, but all the leagues are full. Now I don't have to have that conversation. He's ecstatic. So, hey, maybe we'll see you guys out there at Cedar Mountain on October 8th for that. Another big recognition that I'd like to extend to Lake Hamilton, actually, Tracy. Freshman Aubrey Schmidt recently received the USA Arkansas Swimmer of the Year honor at the 2024 Arkansas Swimming Hall of Fame induction and award banquet at the Museum of Discovery in Little Rock. Schmidt won the 13-year-old short course division for girls, and this year she'll begin on the varsity squad for Lake Hamilton's swim team. Would like to send a big congratulations to Aubrey Schmidt on a huge achievement.
I've been covering her, Mark, since she was, I'd say young, but she's young right now, but I've been covering her since she started this whole phenomenon because she's just that phenomenal. I love watching just everybody. Now she's got a whole following now. And this she's going places. I'm telling you right now, she's committed and she works hard at it, and she deserves it. Big accolade for her.
We talked to Lance Restum earlier in the show about the importance of youth sports. Could you imagine where these athletes would be or would not be if they didn't have those kind of opportunities extended to them? It's incredible. And Hot Springs and the surrounding communities does such a great job of growing from the ground up, farm raising these student athletes to do amazing things. Hey, Tracy, a lot of amazing things happening over at National Park College as well this week. Nighthawk men and women's soccer picked up critical NJCAA Region 2 wins in their respective conference openers last week. They defeated the University of Arkansas Cossatot 3-0 in both men's and women's action. Former Lake Hamilton Wolf Ainsley Luton got the Nighthawk women on the board early, and leading scorer Madison Hernandez out of of Brownsboro, Texas, knocked in goals 2 and 3 to seal the deal for the women. It was their first win of the season, and it was a big one. Teams battled injury adversity all season long. It was the first time this season that they've even had a full squad to go. They've been playing with less than 11 players up to this point. Now finally having a full squad, even a substitution on the bench. Hats off to Coach Corey Irvine's squad. And then for the men as well, it was a nail-biter through the first 45 minutes. This was actually a scoreless match at the break, but in the second half, NPC flexed its depth on the roster and on the bench to keep fresh legs on the field, found the back of the net 3 times, sophomore striker Ali Muganga, freshman striker Augustine Harrion, and in the final seconds, freshman winger Jason Saravia to give the Nighthawks the win. For the men and the women, both of these wins put the team in the driver's seat for the Region 2 championship title. The women are looking for their second consecutive title, while the men are looking for their third straight. The Nighthawks are going to face off against the Colts one more time. It'll be in late October at UA Cossatot, where, thanks to a 3-0 win for both squads, a win, a draw, or even a loss, if by less than 3 goals, will lock up those championship banners for NPC, securing a trip to the postseason, where, I might add, NPC is going to host the Missouri Conference winner in the district championships with a trip to the national tournament in Arizona on the line.
Mark, this is huge, but I'm telling you what, and we talk about this all the time, but just having the faith in these kids to get out and perform with such small numbers, that just shows you how big their heart is. And let me tell you what, gang, you forget about this, but these are ones that are still going to school and having to attend class. And at this level, it is tough. Trust me, I have a hard enough time getting up just to come here to work 4 hours a day, let alone going to class, taking tests, doing all the travel, making it work, and then circling the wagons once again to play a game, maybe 2, maybe 3, depending on the weather, and then, and then not only performing, but performing at a high level. I'm tipping my hat right now, brother. I'm telling you.
And on the high school football scene, some big Week 5 showdowns coming your way. Fountain Lake will play host to Nashville. The Cobras are back at home after a 2-game road stretch. Lakeside taking on Magnolia at home. Hot Springs on the road at Hope. Lake Hamilton plays host to Southside. Jessieville is at Two Rivers. Magnet Cove plays host to Glen Rose. Cutter Morningstar plays host to Paris. And Mountain Pine is at Johnson County Westside.
I've got to throw a big shout out to Mark. This last week, both boys and girls 7-4 a conference championship over at Fountain Lake.
Yes.
Golf.
Yes.
Both boys and girls, number 1 in their respective conference. How's that?
Yeah, congratulations. They both win their district championships. They'll be going to state and be looking to bring home state championships to Fountain Lake. I don't know what it is about these programs, Tracy, but they are extremely talented, very, very good programs. And I cannot wait to see what these young men and young ladies do next on the biggest stage in high school golf.
Well, congratulations, Coach Blease over there. But, of course, Colt Carden already going over to play at CBC in Conway. And then Dylan Detmarine, he's been offered. And a couple of them over Jalen Cameron, the offers there. So we'll be seeing them at the next level. But congratulations to all of them, Brody McMillan, Trayton Gray, Dylan Detmarine, Colt Carden, and Jalen Cameron, Sophia White, Megan Tillery, and Bailey Bean. Congratulations. Great job and good luck in the future.
That's our show this week on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. You can catch us every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., and you can text the show at 501-915-1300. For Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. That'll do it for this week's show. We'll catch you next week on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter, it's out of here.